Hello, everybody. It's Thursday and it's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so that means it's time for Learning Lunchables from Try Our Marketing Solutions. Every week, we try to take 30 minutes out of our busy day and our hectic schedules to help you take 30 minutes out of your hectic schedule. So if you're on the West Coast, you can have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. If you're on the East Coast and it's lunch, grab some food, corned beef and cabbage, or maybe even a Reuben because it's St. Patrick's Day. Grab a beer. I'm not going to judge. And I can't see you. So if you want to have a beer, go ahead. It's St. Patrick's Day. So anyway, we're trying to help businesses learn a little bit about their online presence and how they can use the internet and their website and all the different aspects of the internet to help grow their local business, not just for 2022, but beyond. So this week, we're going to talk about Lucky the Leprechaun's Guide to Content. Yeah, I went a little crazy with the St. Patrick's Day theme. I want to help you rethink your approach to content. So what we're going to talk about today is how content helps your online presence, where you should publish content strategies for local businesses that you can actually accomplish, because a lot of the strategies that people promote and that businesses try to do are there's just no way you're going to be able to sustain that and produce good content on a consistent basis. Learn more about content and social media, and also talk about next week's Learning Lunchable. So, your expectations and outcomes for today is two main areas. You're going to learn how a comprehensive content strategy helps increase your brand exposure, engage prospects, and re-engage your customers, and help you learn what strategies you can take to create an efficient, effective, and useful content strategy that will help future-proof your business. And when I say useful, I mean useful for you, and the way that this is something that you can actually create and do that without a lot of strain, stress, tears, throwing things against the wall. And also is going to be useful for your customers. So, when business owners think about content, they consider it in terms of boosting maybe search engine results, plugging keywords into a blog post, or maybe you've heard about how you can SEO optimize social media and SEO optimize your videos on YouTube. And that's what they think about when they're looking at content. Also, a lot of businesses have a hard time creating enough content to feed the beast that you really, really need to feed every week on time, consistently. But when done effectively, content can help your prospects find you wherever they are in their buyer's journey and help them understand why they should pick you over all your competitors. So, this is another piece in the puzzle that we've been looking at called building your online presence. And we've been looking at this for the last couple of weeks on these Learning Lunchables. And we're going to continue doing this for quite a while because building an online presence is a huge topic. And every week I try to focus on one key aspect of this so that you can have actionable strategies that you can take with you after you're done with this Learning Lunchable, whether you're watching it live or looking at this as a recording, and actually implement something to move your business forward that little bit more to build an overarching online presence. And these are the different areas of the online presence that we've been talking about, such as we've covered websites that are customer-centric. We've covered one aspect of search engine optimization, and that's what Google E is, which is expertise, authority, and trust, and how Google uses that when looking at search results. And we will be looking at more search engine optimization strategies further on in another Learning Lunchable in the future. We're also going to be looking at social media platforms, advertising, Google Business Profile, all that stuff. But today, it's content marketing. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And my slides wanted to go backwards. But the reason that we're talking about an online online presence, content marketing, all of these different aspects is because an online presence is one of the most effective way to accomplish these 5 strategies for survival. New ways to deliver offerings, increasing online sales, managing customer expectations, improving your marketing results, and investing in new technologies. There was, at the end of last year, there was a survey done on local businesses to find out what small business owners were going to focus on in 2022 and beyond, and also what challenges they were trying to overcome. So these 5 strategies for local business survival, whether you're brick and mortar business or online, will help you overcome loss of revenue, budget cuts, reducing salaries, temporary closures, and temporary pivots that we've had to deal with over the last couple of years. And this information and the information on the slide before it came from the Small Business Report, Small Business Trends and Forecasts for 2021 and 2022 that came out late in 2021. So that's what I'm trying to help you do. My overarching concept for the Learning Lunchables, at least for this year, are looking at all of these different aspects that are going to help you overcome those challenges and help you implement those strategies. So, what is content marketing? The basic definition of content marketing is creating and sharing material online. That material can be videos, blogs, infographics, which I missed a no there. I'll have to fix that slide. Social media posts. It's not meant to explicitly promote your brand or to sell anything. What it's supposed to do is help you generate interest in who you are, what you do, and why people should care. So, what you need to keep in mind when you're creating content is this isn't about your business. It's not about you. Okay, it's about your customers, and you need to keep your customers in mind, who they are, what you think they need to know in order to get enough information to decide that you're the company that they want to go with, and what it is about you that makes you different. Your values. Companies don't understand the importance of their values. Businesses are not just someplace where you're selling stuff. You're also selling who you are, who your employees are, why your business is in existence in the first place. All of that information matters to prospects and customers. And if cancel culture has taught us anything, it's that if you don't align with people's values and you don't do things that people think are appropriate, they're going to stop doing business with you and going with somebody else. You also need to make sure that you're always trying to prove the aspirations of EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust. Google created those characteristics for every piece of content, whether it's your website, your blog post, whatever, for a reason. And that's because those are the things that people consider when they're looking at content and when they're looking at your business. You need to create content that helps them move through their journey. Every customer has a process that they do when they're researching a product or a service. And they're going to start at one area and they're going to end up at another. The process may be different depending on who your target market is, but they all have a journey, and you can help them go through that journey. And when you're going through that journey, you're going to align with what we call the sales funnel, which is the process of making people aware that you offer specific products and specific solutions to help solve specific problems and to get them to buy that from you. So there's the sales funnel, and then there's the buyer's journey, and content helps those two meet. And it helps to replace some of the traditional aspects of sales. That doesn't mean sales teams aren't important and that you don't need to have a sales team or that you don't need to sell your products and services. What that means is the early aspects of what used to happen in the sales process is now happening through content. And by the time they get to sales, whether they're talking to you on the phone, they're visiting you online, or they're asking you questions, they're coming in the store and asking you questions, by the time they're doing that, they've already done a lot of the initial early research. And you also need to make sure to keep in mind that when it comes to content, variety is important. Some people like to watch videos. Other people like to read blog posts. Some people like infographics. And if you have different forms of content out there, it's going to attract people that like to watch videos. Then they're going to have the videos that are going to help them move to that next stage of the funnel. If they like blog posts, if they like case studies, if you have those available, then that's going to help them move through. So you need to have different types of content to help different people meet their different needs at different times. So, and your content, how you want to prove authority. So you always want to make sure that people understand that you're an expert in your field, that you have authority. And when I'm saying authority, other experts agree with you. All right, just because you have an experience in your field is one thing, but when you actually have authority, then what that means is not only are you saying this, but there's other people that are out in the field that are saying something similar. And then you also need to have trustworthiness. They need to know that they can trust you. So creating content to prove authority, expertise, and trustworthiness can be different formats for different aspects. So with expertise, you want to provide information that helps them without any ulterior motive. Give them advice that they can use whether they ever buy from you or not. Like in case in point are these learning Lunchables. I have no motive for these learning Lunchables other than to help you. I'm never going to sell my products and services to you. I'm never going to try to give you only information that you can only implement if you buy from me. If you never talk to me outside of asking me a question on these lives or sending me an email about this content, that's fine. My goal is to help you. All right. You also want to show that other experts agree with you. When you create a blog post, link to authoritative sources. Sources that Google and people recognize as leaders in this field to prove you're also a leader in the field. Companies worry about that. I have a lot of owners. They're like, yeah, but if I link to this other source, then they're going to go with that other source and they're going to ignore me. And I'm not saying link to a direct competitor. All right. So if, Joe's Tires down the street has a great website that has a lot of information, but you're afraid that they're going to go to Joe instead of you, don't link to them. But there are other sources. So for an example, say it's about the safety of a specific tire. Well, there's other sources that you can link to that are not direct competitors that can prove that you know what you're talking about. If you're on podcasts, or if you provide guest posts to different online sites that will accept guest posts that your prospects are on, then that proves that you have authority. And asking other people to come on to your blog to create guest posts for you, to maybe go on a podcast if you have a podcast, then that will help show that you know what you're talking about and that you're providing good service to people because you're giving them key information without an ulterior motive. You also want to share reviews, testimonials, case studies, information that you have to show that you not only know what you're talking about, because talking is one thing, but also showing that you can actually provide the services and the products that you're saying that you offer, and that people find them useful, and that they like your customer service and they like how you provide services for your products and all your different offerings. So you're going to want to be everywhere your customer is. And that means social media in all of its different aspects. That means providing videos on YouTube, although I do consider YouTube to be a social media site. It's also the second largest search engine. But you want to be strategic about it. You want to make sure that if your prospects aren't on Pinterest, or you don't sell to businesses, then don't be on LinkedIn. That doesn't make sense. Then again, if you are a B2B type of company, make sure you're on LinkedIn and maybe ignore TikTok or Pinterest. So you've got to be strategic. You've got to know who your customer is. You need to know where they hang out, and you've got to make sure that you're there. But I do have a word of warning here. You don't want to do it all at once. Don't set up 16 social media site profiles, because there's actually hundreds of social media sites. There's more beyond Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all. There's actually hundreds of social media sites, and you can go crazy trying to get profiles on all of them. You want to make sure that you start out with the places that you know they're going to be, and everybody is going to be on Google. That's where they're all going to start. So make sure that you have a complete and effective Google business profile, and that you update that regularly. You're also going to want to look at your website. Make sure that you've got videos on your key landing pages, that you provide detailed information on the products and services that you have to offer, that you are creating blog posts on a consistent basis. That consistent doesn't necessarily mean 3 times a week. If you know all you can do is post 1 blog post a month, then post 1 blog post a month, but just make it the most fantastic thing ever, and you'll be fine. Pick 1 or 2 of the social media sites that you know that they frequent the most. Then maybe worry about the additional ones. Make sure that you have email, and that you have a way to send emails consistently that are quality, that educate people that are looking to buy from you, and that once they have purchased from you, to have supporting information and get them to buy from you again, whether it's that same product often or cross-selling and upselling. You need to make sure that you have a schedule you can keep. So don't move to 1 or 2 social media sites if you haven't consistently added blog posts and you're not really consistent with your Google business profile. Make sure you do these steps in order, and that you have a consistent schedule on one before you move to the next. You also want to make sure you have a manageable funnel. If people land on your Google business profile and go to your website, then you're going to need to have a process to capture their email address. Once you capture their email address, or they call you, or they send you an email for your contact form, you need to make sure that you have a process where you reach out to them immediately. And I mean immediately. Within 5 to 10 seconds, you need to get them a response to whatever their question is, or you need to be able to communicate with them. If they're filling out a form and they're getting a PDF or a video or whatever it is that you've decided you want to have for your form to get your email address, then you need to make sure you have a process in place that keeps communicating with them and gives them additional information. They're not going to land on your website, fill out your form, get a PDF, and call you and buy all in the same day. Okay? Now, some products and services have a lot shorter sales cycle, and maybe it's just a matter of they're already looking for sneakers, so they just want to know what sneakers you have to offer and how quickly they can get them, and whether they can order them and have them shipped to their house, or if they have to pick them up in store. It could be something simple as that. But a lot of times you're going to need to talk to people a lot more before they're going to be ready to buy. Most of the time, people start at the information gathering stage, but that doesn't mean they're going to be ready right away. So you need to have content available to give them the information they need. All right. So one of the main strategies that I recommend to all small business owners, and actually any company should do this, just because you're big doesn't mean that you shouldn't do things that kind of help shorten this process. For strategic content marketing, I recommend the one for money approach. What that means is taking a long piece of content, whether it's a blog post, a webinar that you've created, a podcast that you've been on, a Facebook Live that you've been on. Take that piece of content and chunk it up into many different forms. Create several videos, several social media posts, infographics, email content, all from that one big piece of content. You don't need to recreate the wheel. You don't need to make 6 fresh videos from scratch every week. You don't need to create 24 social media posts every month fresh from scratch and trying to scratch your head and figure out what it is you're gonna say. By using this one from many approach, then you're going to be able to provide better content quicker and more efficiently on a schedule that's going to be a lot easier to maintain than trying to create this all from scratch every time. So let's talk about the buyer's journey that I mentioned earlier before. You're going to want to meet people where they are. Depending on your business, they're going to have slightly different process to move through these different stages, but every business has these different stages. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter, where people have a symptom, a problem, an opportunity, and they just become aware of it. So they're going to start figuring out what exactly all this is about. Then, once they've been able to define their problem or their opportunity, then they're going to want to know the different approaches and methods to solving that problem. Then, once they've done that, they're going to want to decide on the vendors that are going to offer them that solution. So that could take a day, that could take 6 months, depending on what it is that you have to offer. So you need to have content for every stage of this journey. And what you're going to be doing while they're on this buyer's journey is you're going to be taking them through the sales journey. And the sales funnel versus the buyer's journey, like I was talking about before, is attract, convert, close, and delight. So those are the steps that you're going to want to take these people through while they're going through their own journeys. So by going through these stages, you're going to take people from being a stranger to being a promoter. And you can do that by offering blog posts, social media posts. Make sure you're doing ads too. You're going to want to have keywords in those different social media posts and blog posts and Google ads and on your website so that people can find you. Once they land on your website and they consume that information, then you're going to want to convert them from a visitor to a lead. So you're going to want to have calls to action on your web pages. You're going to want to have calls to action on your social media posts. Tell them what to do next. Hey, this is a great blog post. You want to learn more? Come to the website. Okay, you're on the website. You've read the blog post. This is great. You want to learn more? Fill out this form over here on the right, and I can give you a cheat sheet on how to accomplish the 6 steps that we just talked about on that blog post. If you've got products that you're selling, you're going to want to have landing pages for them so that people can learn all the information that they want to learn about that and then make the decision to buy. You're going to want to have forms so that people can fill them out if they're buying a product, if they want your lead magnet, whatever that might be. And you want to get that contact information. You don't want them to leave before you've at the very least gotten their email address and their name. So you want to make sure you get contacts. Then once they become a lead, then you need to convert them from a lead to a customer. And you can do that by using email. You can do that by creating workflows that automate some of this process so that the email gets sent out 2 minutes after they complete the form instead of at the end of the day at 10 o'clock at night and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't checked out the forms, so I don't even know who's asked for this stuff yet. Or they want more information about a specific product that you have to offer, but you haven't been checking your emails lately and you don't have any system in place to automatically send them that information. Also, you want to have lead scoring. So it doesn't necessarily have to be automated, but you want to have a way of knowing that if they do these certain steps, that shows that yes, they are interested and that you do need to reach out and talk to them. That can be opening an email, landing on a landing page, looking at a social media blog post, Starting, if you have an online cart, starting a cart and then abandoning it. Those are all key areas of showing that, yes, they're interested in buying and you need to help them move to the next step, whatever that might be. One of the biggest failures that 90% of businesses have that have an online shopping cart is that they don't follow up with people that abandon the cart. There can be a lot of reasons why. It could be that they started with the process of buying and they're like, oh my God, I left the brownies in the oven. I gotta go get them. People are busy and they can get distracted super easy. And once they're distracted and they leave the cart, they're not always going to remember to go back. So you got to make sure that you're reminding them with SMS messages, ads, social media posts, emails. There's a lot of different ways you can communicate with people that have abandoned a cart. You're also going to want CRM integration, some kind of way to get that information into a database and then take the information that's in that database and get it to where it needs to be, whether you have an email marketing program or some kind of marketing software or sales team so that they can follow up. Then you're going to want to move them from once they've purchased to being a promoter, telling everybody about how great you are and recommending them to others. And in order to do that, you can still use social media. Social media is not just for prospects. It's also for customers. You're going to want to have different calls to action to help them either buy again or recommend them to a friend, or even get a testimonial or a review from them to help you promote your products and services that way. And again, you're going to want workflows. The more you can automate everything, the easier your life's going to be, the more consistently you can get a hold of people and communicate with people and get them either to purchase from you, solve their problem if they have one, or use the fact that they are a satisfied customer to get more customers. So when you're looking at content and social media, you want to remember the most important thing is it's not about the followers. It's always going to be quality over quantity. Who cares if you have 11,000 followers if none of them are ever going to buy from you? They don't have to buy from you today, but you want to make sure that they are at least good prospects and that could possibly buy from you if you give them the right information. You want to remember that organic social still works. I know that Facebook has done a lot to make it harder for spreading your content to your followers. And I know that they're doing that because of ads, because that's where they make their money. But if you create good social media posts, people will share it and they will make sure that it gets out there and expands your reach. So don't neglect organic social. You're going to want to stick to a schedule. We keep talking about that. We also keep talking about the various formats that you're going to want. You're going to want to make sure that, especially on social media, that you've got lots of videos, infographics, GIFs, that type of content. That's what really moves the most on social media. You got to remember it's not about selling. Don't talk to people in an organic social media post about buying your products and services. That's for ads. Don't forget about your customers. Make sure that once people have bought from you, that they still get to engage in the content that you offer. And a lot of times social media becomes customer service. If somebody posts a negative comment because they're having a hard time with a product or service, don't ignore it. Don't try to make it go away. Help them and be very transparent and upfront about what you're doing on social media, because that's actually the best ad for your product or service. Everybody's human. People know companies are going to make mistakes. The important part is that you show your customers and your potential customers that when something does go wrong, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it go right. So, how will creating an efficient, effective, and sustainable content strategy help your business grow now and in the future? Because that is the main point of creating all this online digital presence stuff, is so that no matter what happens in life, and we've seen in the last couple of years, a lot of weird stuff can happen from out of the blue, that you're not going to have to consistently try to reinvent the wheel to continue to grow your business. Cold calling and traditional selling strategies, they just don't work anymore. Most people do their own research, and they want to reach out to you when they are ready. And if you reach out to them too soon, then you're going to turn them off and they're going to go to a competitor. Having consistent content for all stages of the buyer's journey will have people consistently move down that path from cold to sold. I know there are some seasonal businesses out there that have times when they have a lot of sales, and then there have times where they're slower and they don't have as many customers. But there are businesses that still go up and down on a roller coaster, and it's not a seasonal issue. It's an issue of they just don't consistently have people that are in that awareness stage, going through the decision stage, and doing that by engaging with your content. Once you get that content process up and running, that will help keep people always moving through that pipeline. So you always have people that you're talking to that are at different stages of the buying journey. So for your content to be effective, there are some things that you need to keep in mind. You need to know who your buyers are. You can't say, oh, I sell to everybody, because there's going to be some people that just are not a good fit for what it is that you sell. And there are also going to be some people that might be a good fit that you don't want to sell to because they're too much of a pain in the butt, and that the money that you make from them does not overcome the frustration and the stress and the work that you have to do to deliver that product or service to them. So know who your buyers are. Know who really is a good fit for your product or your service. You need to keep trying different formats of content, and you have to do a lot of testing. I've been consistently surprised still about sometimes the way that audiences respond to different types of content in different business aspects that you wouldn't think people would be interested in. I have a counseling center that I work with, and their audience loves infographics. They're the most consumed piece of content on their social media sites, and you wouldn't think that people that are looking for counseling are going to consume an infographic. They prefer that even over the videos. So you always have to test. Every site, Facebook, Twitter, they all have analytics that you can look at, and there are different platforms that have a way of looking at the analytics and comparing all of the different sites that you're on, so that you know what sites are getting the most feedback, what times you're getting the most feedback, and what types of content people consume on every site. Have a system in place so that you're not always having to scramble to make the content, scramble to publish the content, scramble when people are interested and respond to you. Make sure that you follow up, because when people are looking for something, they're going to go with the first company that responds to them. And if it's not you, then you've lost out. And you need to be patient. This is not something that's a fast process. This is not an ATM machine, but it's a consistent process. And in the end, once you get everything in place, you will make more money on a consistent basis than you do right now. So just have to go through the growing pains and get everything set up before you see the rewards, but the rewards will come. So here are some different tools that can help you with the different aspects of content marketing. Ask the Public is a great tool. They do have a paid version, but their free version is very, very, very robust. What Ask the Public does is it compiles all the questions that people ask online. So a lot of my clients are like, well, I don't know what to write for a blog post because I don't know what people are asking. So you can go to this site and find out the questions that people are asking for specific products, services, keywords, and write your content, whether it's a video or a blog post or an email, to answer those specific questions. There are a lot of social listening tools out there, and social listening means more than just understanding the questions that people are asking, but understand what people are saying about your competitors and what your people are saying about you. There's a lot of conversations about your brand and your company that might be going on online that you aren't even aware of, and you can't address the negative aspects, and you can't take advantage of the good aspects if you don't know they're there. There are a lot of social media schedules out there. Some are more expensive than others. The only one that I know that still has a free version that's at all effective is Hootsuite. But you can do some research and find one that works best for you. But in lieu of that, you can't do this on LinkedIn or Twitter, but if you go onto Facebook, you can tie your Instagram and Facebook accounts together, and that there is a way to create and schedule out posts so that they'll go out automatically. Tools for pop-ups. I hate pop-ups. I personally don't like them. As a marketer, I love them because they work. You wouldn't think that they would work. You'd think everybody would find them as annoying, but they are one of the most effective ways to get people's information when they land on your website. So there are different tools for really simple pop-ups to more extravagant ones to help you get, at the very least, their name and email address when they visit your website. There are a lot of different platforms for website forms. Google has a free one. There are paid ones. If you have email marketing, there are some email marketing programs that have forms that you can embed onto the website that will pull the information right into the email platform, so you don't have to worry about downloading them. But there are some website plugins that you can do, such as Gravity, that's free. It pulls it into the website and you'll have to download it, but at the very least, you've got it. Having some kind of marketing automation, having some kind of email tool. There Contact and MailChimp, and there's some others that do have some free versions that don't bite. And you're going to want to have some kind of way of emailing people on a regular basis without you having to go into your Gmail account at 10 o'clock and, oh, shoot, it's 2 o'clock, I have to email people. Having that kind of automation set up is very effective. And there are a lot of different versions. You're going to need to have some kind of database, some kind of CRM, even if it's a Google Sheet, some way of tracking people that are interested and following up with them, because a lot of times you're going to need to talk to these people multiple times before they're interested. And as I keep talking about, and I'm going to stress this again, the more you can automate, the better off you're going to be. So that's all I've got to talk about today for content marketing. Obviously, it's a lot more intense than what we've just talked about here over the last 30 minutes, but those are the main key areas that you need to look at to create an effective strategy to start getting some content out there. So for next week, we're going to look at who are the people in your neighborhood, what an online community is, and how it helps build an online presence. You'd be surprised to know that there are some people that could follow you on social media that may never buy from you, but are still going to promote you to other people because they like the content that you offer. You do prove that you are an authority in your field and you happen to align with their values, and they'll be happy to promote you. Influencers can be a part of that online community. But also your customers are a big aspect of that community because they've actually purchased from you. They understand your process. They understand how much quality you have in your products and your services. And if you do make a mistake, how you fix it. They know all that. So all those different people are a part of your community. And there is a way to build that and grow that and nurture that. And we're going to be talking about that next week, which is the 24th of March already at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. I promise we're not going to try to sell you. We will answer your question. Okay? If you're interested in our products and services, I'm not going to say no, obviously, but if you go to tryourmarketing.com, you can get a PDF downloadable version of this presentation. You can also watch the recording. You can also take a look at the previous recordings that we've got and take a look at what's coming up next. You can email us your questions at info@tryourmarketing.com, or you can call us. And I would really love to hear from you. I really love to hear feedback on what you think about all these different presentations and anything that you might want to learn about from us in the future. So have a great day.